The Smoking Gun, only on Battle
Royale with you.
That's right.
How did you do that?
Come on!
Come find me when you wake up.
So hey, you're listening to the Smoking Gun podcast, episode 2, officially titled Pod Harder. My name is Big Rich, and I'm joined by
Bolton. Hello.
I'm also joined by Andy.
Hello.
And I'm joined by Kahal as well.
You are. I like how you, Andy. Like you don't know
Andy's
him.
like,
He's not sure.
I'm not too sure.
We've only known each other for 4.5 years.
About that.
Yeah.
There was that time before at summer camp, but we won't talk about that. So today we're going to be talking about the new Tom Cruise film, Edge of Tomorrow. As per usual, there's a slight disclaimer at the start of this podcast. It will be full of swearing and there will be spoilers. So please, please, please do not complain to us. So after the success of our first one, we are now available on SoundCloud, on iTunes, and we have our own Facebook page and Twitter. Ooh, I know, we're in.
Fancy.
Welcome to Big School. So you can catch us on Facebook, and the link is facebook.com/The Smoking Gun Podcast. We're on Twitter. Andy knows the Twitter name because I can't remember.
It is @_The Smoking Gun _.
And on both of those, if you follow us on both of those, you'll get links soon to the aforementioned iTunes and SoundCloud, where you can subscribe, download, and do whatever. Please keep up to date on our Facebook page, as we've got little ideas for what we're going to do next, because there is a bit of a gap between this film and the next film we want to review, but we want to keep doing these podcasts. So we are looking for ideas to review around, as it's that season, these summer podcasts. Summer blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to choose one from the 80s, one from the 90s, and one from the, I don't want to say noughties, so I'm just going to say 2000s.
2000s is it?
2000s is
better, yeah.
So at the moment we're taking a slight vote on our Facebook page for the summer blockbuster from the 80s, and that's going to either be Gremlins, Die Hard, or Ghostbusters. At the moment, I know, that is a tough one. At the moment, Gremlins is in the lead.
Really?
It is, by default, because I'm the third vote on that.
Just vote for Die Hard like 20 times.
So as I said, we're going to be talking about Edge of Tomorrow, the new Tom Cruise film, directed by Doug Liman of Swingers fame, which is... he's
The film.
Not the act.
just so we're clear, you know.
Were you just waiting for that one? Excellent stuff.
That's me. See you next week.
So Andy's going to leave us now. So yeah, Edge of Tomorrow, directed by Doug Liman. It also has, obviously it has Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt in it. It has an awesome bit from Bill Aliens Paxton, as I like to call him, and there's a few other good people in it, which I'm sure we'll get around to. So, gentlemen, the 30-second review. I think we'll go alphabetical.
Me again first, okay.
Yeah, why not?
I quite enjoyed Edge of Tomorrow. I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. Usually when you see a trailer and then you see the film, you're usually disappointed with a lot of those films, because the trailer does seem to suggest the film's better than it's going to be. But in this case, the trailers actually gave me a sense of, I don't want to watch this film, but I did watch it, and I was very surprised by how good it was. Although the ending was something we might talk about later, which was a bit weird for me. But overall, good film. Emily Blunt was amazing. Tom Cruise, pretty good. Great idea, very simple time loop idea. But overall, I liked it. And that was more than 30 seconds, but I don't care.
It always is. It's kind of like it's a requirement that you go over the 30 seconds. Excellent stuff. So, Kahal.
Very similar with Sultan, actually, as well. I was probably the other way around with the trailer. I looked at the trailer and I was like, yes. Really? That. They had, like, mech suit things. What more do you want? But with... thank you, Andy. With Cruise, I've actually heard it from a few different people who say, I don't like Tom Cruise. This is actually, I think I'm just getting flashbacks of how Andy said he doesn't like Michael Keating from the previous show.
Which was...
I still can't sleep since that recording.
But man, Cruise is good, man. He does what he does, and you put his name next to a movie and people go see it. And like Ulton, I was really happy, time loop thing worked pretty well. Emily Blunt's really good in it. She bends over quite a lot. She does that kind
Yeah,
of
she does.
yoga thing like multiple times, which was really nice. Bill Paxton was the best thing in it for me, which I'll come back on with more. But yeah, really impressed. I thought it did kind of reminisce of the kind of D-Day landings. I think that's been spoken about with some stuff as well, kind of with the way they were coming on the beaches. It moved at such a pace as well. It didn't really give you a chance to kind of think about what really was going on. So no, it was really good. Really enjoyed it.
So it's me. I would probably say it's one of the best films I've seen this year.
Ooh.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I know.
Better than Blended? You're joking.
No, I really, really enjoyed it. I the same as you. I think I saw the trailer, and I thought it looked really good from the start. Really, it really interested me. There's a bit of a funny thing about Tom Cruise. You're right. A lot of people have said, "Oh, Tom Cruise, don't like Tom Cruise," which I don't really understand. I think he's one of the best in his business at the sort of thing that he does. If that makes sense. It probably doesn't.
Surprisingly, it did make sense to me.
Yeah.
The plot is it's somewhere between silly and intelligent in the sense that it's intelligently done. Although the actual idea is quite silly, it works in its own logic, which I really liked. Great effects, great action, and it's just nice to see a film that isn't looking to be a franchise, isn't a remake or a sequel. Obviously, it's an adaptation of a book, but it felt fresh while also kind of taking the best bits from lots of the sci-fi. So I really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Rich.
Thank you, Rich, for this. It's only Richard if I'm in trouble.
We've got to hear your review first.
So I think it's unanimous around the table. I think we all really enjoyed this film. I enjoyed it because I love seeing bad characters kind of go good. And right now that makes no sense. But
bad
characters go good. Like that'll be a tagline for the poster. So in it, Tom Cruise obviously plays like a bit of a slimy kind of like salesman, kind of like marketing guy for the army, and that's kind of like drops him into a bit of trouble. But I really like Tom Cruise in films anyway. I've got a massive soft spot for him ever since like Legend. We'd like Tim Curry and stuff. I know we are going back. Like this is a shout out to the 30-somethings in the audience. The whole kind of like Groundhog Day kind of. What's the other one with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Donnie Darko?
Not Donnie Darko, but kind of. You can
It's kind of time loop.
You can get. There's another one on
Source
the trailer.
Code,
Source
yeah,
Code.
sorry.
Source Code. That kind of vibe going on, which was really cool. And I think I'm with Andy on that. Where it was like an old kind of story done really intelligently. The whole kind of like mech suits or jackets, I think they were called in it, were badass, just properly badass, and used really well. They didn't kind of scrimp on them as well. I love the whole kind of like the fact that the whole movie was just one massive montage. Thinking on it a little bit deeper, I don't know whether it was a huge success for me personally, purely because it wasn't a franchise. There was a standalone film. They can't make a sequel from it, and if they, never say can't, but I haven't looked whether or not there's one coming out. But I really enjoyed it because it was just a standalone film, and that was it. It did what it did. The trailer kind of lived up to it. Everything was kind of cool. So yeah, it's a big yes from me. Like I really enjoyed it. Bringing us on to Andy's mentioned the kind of like I'm doing bunny ears now. The silly kind of like plot, which sees kind of Tom Cruise stuck in a bit of a loop.
Nice.
Nice.
A bit of a loop.
Welcome to Saturdays on ITV now with David Jason in a bit of a loop. It's stuck in a kind of time loop where he has to kind of save the day, all kind of geared up for a hero's return at the end kind of thing. But what do we all kind of think of the plot? Was it as silly? I'm not picking on you because you said it was silly.
Should we do a little bit of a synopsis?
Yeah. Who wants to do a synopsis? That'd be good. This is something that was massively missed from the Godzilla one for those who missed it.
Just went straight into complaining.
Shall I do that?
Yeah.
Shall I do that? Is that
Andy, you are up for that.
Go for it.
Okay, so the basic story of Edge of Tomorrow concerns Tom Cruise's character, William Cage, who's a major in the American Army, essentially a PR guy, not a combat sort of soldier, who's in a kind of a united force worldwide that's fighting this alien invasion of aliens called mimics, who have basically turned the entire of Europe and into kind of a no man's land. And you've got China and Russia on one end, and kind of the rest of the united forces on the other side, amassing in Britain, ready for an invasion. So Tom Cruise is dispatched out to the UK thinking he's going to be there to kind of sell the invasion to people, and finds out from General Brendan Gleeson.
That's the actual
Yeah, that's his character's
name.
Just a coincidence, really. Yeah. Finds out from General Brendan Gleeson that he is going to be conscripted and sent out to battle, which he isn't all that happy about, as it turns out. And as you say, he starts off very slimy, very sleazy, kind of a coward, really. But in fairness, I would also probably act the way he does if I was asked to jump out of an aeroplane over France. Or anywhere, really.
What do you got against the French?
That's a time for another podcast. He finds himself on the beach in sort of Normandy, I guess, and as he's running around not really knowing what he's doing, he ends up killing and sort of being killed by one of the mimic aliens, a very particular type, which enables him suddenly to wake up 24 hours earlier or thereabouts, because his blood is mixed with the alien's blood, and he has these kind of time-bending powers, which means he just keeps resetting the day every time he dies. And using this time-bending power, he tries to win the war against the aliens with the help of Emily Blunt's Rita Vrataski, I want to say.
I've got it written down. Let's look. Vrataski, yes.
The least British name I think I've ever heard.
Her mother was Russian.
Yes, I guess. Is that true?
I don't know. I just
right,
made that
Her
up.
father Scots-Irish.
And she's kind of the most badass soldier, the Full Metal Bitch, I believe she's referred to in the film.
She is, yes.
And together they try and work out how to stop the alien menace.
Nice.
That was not concise.
No, it wasn't. However, it did kind of like smack home the it is a little bit of a silly storyline when you go, his blood mixed with aliens' blood. Oh, this is a little bit silly.
Can we just talk about that scene for a second?
Yeah.
That bit was really kind of shocked me in a way. It was a 12A film, but the bit basically this particular alien, which is called Alpha,
Yeah.
who we'll probably talk about in a little bit, but they're very cool looking, kind of very nicely designed aliens. But he blows it up with a claymore mine, which he kind of picks up and essentially suicide bombs this alien, and it's pretty graphic. I mean, his face is like blown away, and you just see like alien blood kind of seeping into his mouth.
You said it really sensually then. It's just that I am rock hard now. But I think that like, at that point in the cinema, me and you actually looked at each other and just went, yes, this is amazing. Like.
Was not expecting that somehow. It's unusual to see Tom Cruise have his face blown off.
It was, yeah.
How would you cut it there?
Because usually Tom Cruise is the hero from the offset, isn't he? And he's the one that saves the day every time. And in this film, he starts off as a coward, as you've mentioned, Andy. And through the time loop mechanism, he does gain those heroic skills to save the day. It was a different sort of approach for a Tom Cruise film, and that really surprised me as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
I really liked it. I liked how it started, because I didn't realise what was going to happen and stuff like that. I just kind of thought, he's going to go to Britain and that's it. He's going to join up with the guys and so on. He he wasn't as convincing as being slimy as he was being completely clueless on the battlefield. So that opening bit where he's just like freaking the fuck out kind of thing.
Really enjoy that bit.
That was
Really
so
enjoyed
cool.
it, yeah.
That was really cool because like it was at one point it was just like holy shit, like something bad's gonna happen to Tom Cruise. They can't kill Tom Cruise. I know what the film's about, but yeah, they still can't kill Tom Cruise. And he did that really well. And how they then showed him getting better and better and better, or at least kind of cheating the system, kind of thing, was just done really well. Like,
I liked how it went through. He went through the kind of different ways of doing it. Because after the first time, he was like, "All right, shit, okay, I can do this." But then there's just one bit where he runs out and gets hit by a truck.
Yeah,
it's just
it's amazing.
He
Nice
tries to
bits of humour in there, isn't it?
Yeah. He tries to help the dudes that was in space as well, amongst other things. When it's coming in to crash it on him, and then another time he doesn't. So it's nice kind of how he learns, but then also he tries different ways of doing it. There's actually one bit where he just kind of leaves the battlefield altogether and goes to a pub. Which was great, just have a little pint, that's it. But you're right, I'd agree with you, Rich, how I don't know, maybe if he had more time to be that kind of slimy PR guy at the start, because it was, with the opening credits, kind of just went boom, straight into it. News story, there he is, like, kind of talking heads on stuff like that, and they're chiming out the same kind of stuff all the time. Then it's pretty much him in the office with Brendan Gleeson, who's pretty much just Brendan Gleeson. I like Brendan Gleeson, but yeah, he plays kind of that. He's in Mission Impossible 2 with Tom Cruise as well.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
But it more or less then jumps straight into him doing it with training, and enter Bill Paxman, who's just fantastic, and as the Southern, was it Sergeant Major? What's his
Master Sergeant.
Master Sergeant, which sounds
Farrell.
even better, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Master Sergeant.
Master Sergeant.
It's
Yeah.
like Master Chief or something.
Master Chef.
There you go. Me and Andy both really genuinely enjoy Master
I
Chef.
love Master
It's
Chef.
great.
But
That was the only thing missing was Greg Wallace
Greg Wallace.
from the.
Chewing away.
Buttery biscuit base.
Just Andy briefly touched on it just when we were talking about synopsis, about how it was a book originally.
Yeah.
And the name of that, which I thought was a much more badass name, was All You Need Is Kill. Was that? Isn't that?
That's right, yeah.
But apparently the producers didn't like the name Kill in there as well. But I think it's so much. Edge of Tomorrow is just such a generic throwaway title.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's
It
like-
deserved, I think the film deserved better than its title, which, when you even read it, doesn't actually really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Neither does All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
It is going to be released under that name, I think, in Japan.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's it in the book. I think he's
The book is Japanese.
It is.
Yeah, it's a manga, isn't it?
And I think in it we know, and again we're going to be spoiler driven here, but that Rita previously had this power that he
Yes.
has. But I believe in the books she has it with him continuously without
Oh,
it.
that'd be awesome.
So a different way of doing it. A colleague at work told me that, but I haven't read the book. But yeah, that's just one little thing. You feel, and I think they did have some kind of trouble with production and rewrites as well.
It's
But-
a lot of writers. I think 3
Yeah.
or 4 writers in total on the film, which.
But I don't think it took away from it. I think, like I said, I think the pace that it goes through is just boom, thing, restart, boom. It doesn't give you a chance. There's no real lull in it, and that's one thing for me. Like with maybe when we were talking about Godzilla last week, maybe there was a little bit where it was kind of draggy and stuff like that. But it's, I think, it harks back to a lot of kind of 80s kind of actiony kind of sci-fi stuff as well. But yeah, just really like how they did it, and just that was it. The pace of it, that it didn't give you a chance to actually go. Like there wasn't any point where I like checked my watch or anything like that. So yeah.
I think one thing we probably didn't mention in our 30-second reviews was also the comedy was really well done. And for a film that juggles some pretty dark subject matter, a lot of the time it was really funny. Like there's kind of an extended bit where sort of training montage where Tom Cruise keeps having to get killed to reset the day because he's messing up in training, and we see Rita kind of shoot him in the head about 6 or 7 times. And it's handled really, really well, and it balances the tone. Or Doug Liman obviously manages to balance the tone very well for the stuff that is quite dark later on with the
But that's a little thing he kind of does in Swingers as well. So Swingers has some kind of like very not dark, but kind of quite personal, like at least kind of like personal tragedies that everyone can kind of relate to. Like in Swingers, when you've got John Favreau kind of ringing up that girl all the time, and just like missing the kind of like the message on her answer phone and so on and so on, and going back, and like all of a sudden the simple scene becomes like heartbreaking and kind of, he juggles that really well with Vince Vaughn being hilarious in that film as well. And he does that. He did like swing. Like it was weird when I watched. So I caught a bit of Swingers the other night, and I was just like, oh no, like it's just like little nods. Like, and I know they're years and years apart and completely different kind of subject matter, but it's kind of like it's something that he clearly can do very well.
Well, I think that's evident in Mr. and Mrs. Smith as well.
Yeah.
And, it's essentially Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie trying to kill each other for most of it, a lot of weapons. And Vince Vaughn's in that as well. There you go, link.
There we go.
There's a nice link there.
Yeah, and of course he did the original Born Identity, and then I think he was producer on the Paul Greengrass ones as well. So he can quite balance quite well action and comedy, and I think that was evident in this.
Mm-hmm. Excellent stuff. So, I mean, if we break, I tell you what, I'm going to go a bit off piste now.
Go rogue.
Yeah, go rogue. So we've gone around the table and we kind of said like, yeah, we really liked it. Let's pick it apart then. What didn't we like about it? There's got to be some. I know there's some bits from me personally, but Andy, you don't have
straight in there.
You don't have to put your hand up, Andy. This is
Chomping at the bit there.
I think central issue for me was the quote-unquote romance.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so I listened to an interview with Doug Liman the other day, and he called this film kind of a sci-fi action film with the heart of a rom-com.
No, I can see that.
I can kind of see where he's coming from. For me, the romance side of things, you could have just taken it out entirely.
I think need it. You're right.
There's a section at the end, and a few people I've talked to said that it kind of induced groans where we know they're going to die, basically. Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise are kind of in the Louvre. They're actually in the Louvre, not kind of in the Louvre. And they're basically going to their deaths to kind of save mankind. And, she leans in and you think, oh, no, they're not going to kiss. And then they do, and it's a bit like, oh, really? I think their relationship is really good and really interesting, but you could have just made it that they were kind of... neither of them managed to get close to anyone. They didn't need to be like a romantic overtone as such. And then there's little elements like where she tells him his middle name as she's dying one of the days, and it never comes back up again. No. And it's supposed to be this link. And I don't know, I think it would have played better for me if Tom Cruise had been like a lonely character and he just wanted some companionship, and he's using this constant reset of the day to get that companionship, as opposed to the kind of romantic side of things. It felt like to me, when I first sort of saw it, it felt like a kind of studio note. Like they said, they presented them the film, and the studio came back and said, needs more romance.
Yeah, you've got two.
What's happened.
Yeah.
I think there must have been, because we've talked briefly about the rewrites and different productions moved back and forth. I imagine there would have been some test screenings, and that's one of the comments that would have come into it, having that romance thread through the film, which I didn't see either. The only other thing that really not bugged me but let me down a little bit was the ending. So all through the film we've got this time loop that Tom Cruise's character would immediately go back 24 hours or so to the same point when he literally wakes up at Heathrow. And then the last scene in the Louvre when he does die, maybe I've missed something in the whole film, he goes back even further.
It's
but maybe I missed it again.
So when he kills is it called the Omega?
It is.
That's the main one.
So the Alpha thing killed him at the start, and he got covered in the blood by the Alpha.
Right.
And then it pans out that the Alphas, if they die, that's how these kind of like beastie things, the mimics kind of can reset the day. So the mimics have this power all along. So if an Alpha dies, the Omega kind of goes, brilliant, now it's all gone to shit, I'm going to restart the day. So Tom Cruise gets his power from the Alpha, and then when he goes and kills the Omega's blood seeps into him, so he kind of resets the whole thing. And he goes back and then I presume they know how to kill. It's a little bit like an Independence Day ending where it's just like, send on the message, tap, 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 tap.
It's, the problem with that is, though, that he gets sent back, like, basically to the start of the film when he's helicoptering into Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
But the thing where he killed them all has
They're all
still
gone.
happened.
All the aliens are gone.
Now, I don't know whether to stop this or embrace this, because this is where we start talking about time travel, and this is I can just see all the listeners going, and fuck that podcast.
We start talking about Primer and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's the entire of part 3. We've got 2 whole hours on time
Just
travel.
ripping the script now, but Primer's a brilliant one, because Primer's, if anyone gets a chance, go and have a look at Primer's Wikipedia page. So Primer's an amazing film done for about $3,000, $4,000
around that
dollars
sort
or
of price,
something
yeah.
like that. It's an amazing film. But Primer's Wikipedia page has a timeline on it of how to follow the film.
Yeah.
Well, blood started trickling out of my ears by the time it goes. It's like, it goes, like, talks about how there's 6 of the same character at any one time, and I'm just like, holy fucking shit, that's insane. Like, it's not, the time travel element is totally Groundhog Day to Primer's kind of like, I need a degree to understand. But I dare say you could take any time travel film and just pick it apart.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't know. For one, we can pick apart the time travel thing, like, but I think with the tighter, my bugbear was the kind of the script and the writing. The script was tight in places, and it got really slack in places.
Right.
Like, it loosened up the minute there was any kind of. And again, I think it actually goes back to the romance bit. The minute there was any kind of romance between Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise, that's it. It got slack. It got really disinterested, and I was just like, "Oh, fuck this film." And when it got to them just fighting and just kind of like they had a cause rather than each other, that's where it got tighter. And you could see the determination in like Tom Cruise, and he can act determined with the best of them, kind of thing. And he did that really well. And so did Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt kind of had this weird vibe of, she's lost everything and or she's lost too much, she doesn't care, and so on and so on and so on, which they didn't really look into. And again, much like our kind of conversations about Godzilla, it's easy to sit here after watching the film and kind of go, oh, it would have been nice to have this, it would have been nice to have this. I did leave kind of going, I hope there's a director's cut. I'm hoping there's like a just an extra half hour or stuff. Like, Carl's like kind of shaking his head at me. You are dreaming, big boy. You are dreaming.
His name's Blade Runner, right?
yeah.
The final
with
cut.
no narration or anything like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, if I had to pick apart like the film, there's parts of it where it didn't get sloppy to the point where it's just like, nah, it just needed tightening up. If it could have gone through a couple of rewrites, then that would have been brilliant. But there was a lot of characters that are completely underplayed. Oddly enough, I'm sorry I've cut you off there.
Right.
But when Emily Blunt, you first see Emily Blunt in real life, not on a poster or anything in the film, she's flanked by 4 guys in the most badass mech suits, like with skulls painted on those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And you see that all in the trailer, and like you see them once, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And then the minute they hit the battlefield, they are toast.
Well, I think that's it. You're seeing the battlefield through Cruise's eyes.
That's it.
We're kind of experiencing everything with him and through him. And I'll touch on the love story as well, because it seems impossible to me that every day he resets and he just gets enough, and there's a little bit of chemistry there and a little look like, oh yeah, and then boom, it's back to the start again. But yet somehow every single time they seem to get more and more.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of touch in on just a little bit more. I feel we kind of missed out on is the Omega, and that is their kind of goal, isn't it, to find this guy and shut him down.
It's the brain bug from Starship Troopers, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Again,
Again, it doesn't have.
Again, Starship Troopers.
Yeah, it doesn't have Dougie Hauser
Every
in
film
it.
is like Starship Troopers.
Every film is like,
Would you
every
like
film-
to know more?
every film this summer
We
is
should
like,
do Starship Troopers.
Should we?
Yes.
All right, start it. Forget the 80s, forget the 90s and stuff
Well,
like that.
it's 90s, right?
It is. Is it
Yeah,
classed
it's
as
90s,
summer?
yeah.
Well, right now, this is a smoking gun, like solid gold tip. We are classing Starship Troopers as a summer blockbuster. It will be reviewed.
And genuinely, I think we could get Casper Van Dyne in here.
Yeah, so we could get best part of that cast.
That's
Yeah.
twice now. I've
First,
mentioned him. One in each one.
First 18 certificate film I ever saw.
Wow.
wow.
Nice.
Very good.
I think.
Who took you? Or was it yourself? Oh yeah, of course, because your mum was like going to go, I tell you what, Andy, let's go and see Starship
Holding your
Troopers."
hand as you walk in.
It was on VHS actually. Global Video.
Nice plug.
They're not there anymore.
You don't say.
Global Video of Porthcawl High Street.
Oh goodness.
Where were you?
I was
Omega.
Omega, yes, and that's the kind of goal they're after. We do get to see a couple of other characters as well. You were talking about kind of points about after, like I was saying, this is Cruise's movie. It's his thing. We see through his eyes, but he has got his ragtag crew of
J Troop.
J Troop. Thank you. Well remembered, Andy, as well. Who I think, I wanted to be basically the dudes out of Aliens. Just stick Michael Biehn in there and everyone will be happy. But it was I think they kind of ran out of budget and just had to get some randomers in.
Well,
it just didn't.
My take on it was they were meant to be like the least well trained ragtag bunch that he gets thrown in with, rather than like any sort of badasses. They're like the misfits. That was what I was getting from it. So we've got what's his name? Tony Way of many sort of British comedy TV shows. Jonas Armstrong, who played Robin Hood, I believe, on the BBC show.
He's Irish as well. I didn't know that. Yeah.
But spends most of his time saying bollocks in a northern accent.
That's it. It's like, the cursed quota.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, you can have like 10 bollocks, mate. Just use them up.
They were underused. I thought I wanted them all to have like a cool moment, and they didn't all get it, which was a bit unfortunate, especially Tony Way, because you see him, he has this kind of, they all have the mech suits, but he's got like this super heavy armor mech suit, and I thought he was going to do at least one, like he would have one cool payoff shot, and he didn't get it. Like in the very final battle where they go to Paris, he just gets shot in the like helicarrier before they even land, which I thought was a bit unfortunate, but I guess
I think you're right there with the whole kind of it ran out of budget. Like talking very slightly on that, because I think it had like some daft like $160 million budget or something like that, and then in
It's not made much of that.
178 million. Sorry, yeah. And like at the time when I was like kind of like writing up the notes for this and stuff like that, it only made like something like 50 million. I think that's worldwide. So Andy's got figures.
So Andy is our like figures
Andy's
guy.
like
as
got the
that
numbers.
goes.
I'm the numbers guy. So as of today, domestically, so in the US, it's taken best part of 29 million, which is not an awful lot for a Tom Cruise opening weekend. And foreign market has taken 111, so it's almost made its budget back, sort of, over the world, but that's not a great showing for a Tom Cruise film. Just as a little kind of comparison, that's like War of the Worlds, which obviously was a Spielberg film and a Tom Cruise film, so it's got more star power straight away. Made like sort of nearly 70 million in its opening weekend, so over twice.
I think
what
Tim
this film
Robbins
made.
pulled in most of that money there, right?
That was on TV the other day.
I think it'll do well with the home market when it's out on DVD and Blu-ray, because it will garner repeat showings. You want to watch the film over and over just to make sure you get the time loop idea, and also try and understand the ending, because I missed that. The ending. So I think it will do well when it comes out on DVD. But yeah, for a box office, for a Tom Cruise film, it isn't doing very well.
At the end, I thought it was really neatly set up that when kind of Tom Cruise, Cage has his like last chance, so he has an accident, he's in a car crash, has a blood transfusion, and that means that he no longer has his powers.
I really stood up after that bit. I was like, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now what does he do?
Yeah, that's a really nice
way
nice
to do
conceit
it, yeah.
to give you some tension, because obviously, although it's a very enjoyable film, there's no real tension because he just keeps resetting the day. But that was very nicely done.
That was very much a, sorry I'll cut you off, but that was very much a kind of like, fuck, what are they going to do? Like, literally, I was there going,
What's he
I
gonna
have
do
no
now?
idea what they're going to do now.
Now, the problem with that is it ramped up the tension for everyone else as well. So all of J Troop suddenly were like, if they die, they die. Even if he succeeds, potentially that leaves them all dead. The whole kind of ending, which obviously Alton, you've talked about, it did kind of cheapen that a little bit, because then they're all suddenly alive again at the end, and it was a bit like, oh, okay. It didn't add as much kind of weight to their
I would have
kind of
much
deaths.
preferred, like, so at the end where Tom Cruise goes up against the Omega, he kind of just, it's the big fuck you moment where he drops a load of grenades because you think he's been killed. So that I think the Alpha goes after him or something, like spears him through. They're all underwater. Don't ask me why, but they are. And Tom Cruise kind of lets go of a load of grenades. And then you just see him float, and then he turns the camera, and then opens the other hand, and it's full of pins. And it's just like, yes, like
I swear that was done in some other movie.
oh, that's done in loads of movies.
Every of them.
Every other movie.
You name an action
Starship
movie.
Troopers.
Starship Troopers. Yeah. Oh,
Mamma Mia.
That was it. Like it was the fuck you to the Alpha guy. He might as well just given him the bird.
But
like
I so wanted as he just let go of the pins, like just to kind of go whoop, just flipping the bird.
You kind of expect the Alpha to go.
But what? Shit! Did they do that in Independence Day? Yeah, they did it. When it goes, the countdown goes like the aliens both. The aliens both look at each other and go, and then fucking explode.
Yeah.
But that's for another time.
the scene just leading up to that they find out the Omega guy is in the Louvre, and there's the you touched on it, the carrier ship thing that
Let's
is
call it a helicarrier.
a helicarrier. Thank you. But they're like blasting through it, and then there's this other guys, and it's really a sweet scene actually because they're all kind of catching up behind them, and one of the guys is out the side on like one of the machine guns, and I was so disappointed. He never said "get some." Not once did he say the words "get some." That is, you have to. If you're on the side of a helipad shooting at things, you have to say "get some." That's it. So
Any would-be directors listening to us right now, if you want to rake in a metric fuck ton of money, then you need to get some. Does it have to?
just put that on a T-shirt. It'll sell.
Is
There's
there
a bit of smoking gun merch there.
There you go.
great.
Now
Mine.
we're talking.
Get this printed tomorrow.
One other person I did want to touch in on is Noah Taylor.
Yes.
Who plays the tech guy,
Crazy tech guy.
crazy tech guy. Which he was born to play that role more or less. He's the one who I guess is the link between Cage and Risha. Who and I also we talked about Groundhog Day. Andy McDowell's character in Groundhog Day is called Risha.
That's right.
That's impressive,
You've come
that
up
help.
over these like 1.5 now podcasts. You've come up with some tenuous shit. God damn that!
That's not tenuous. That is a thing.
In another film, another person's called Rita.
Hey, in another
film similar in a
time
way.
Oh, right,
travel-y
okay.
thing.
The loop in, yeah. I like that help.
The internet told me that, so I can't claim
Fuck
that.
you, internet.
Do you have any others?
But do I have any Noah Taylor stuff? He's a very good musician, apparently.
that was not so good. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
His role I thought was a little thankless though. It was kind of Basil exposition.
yeah.
Which he's really good. Like if you see him in something like Submarine, he's really good in that. He kind of plays a very similar character in this than he does in
Vanilla Sky.
I was going to say Tomb Raider.
You took the words out of my mouth. He is the tech guy in Tomb Raider.
Which I
That's it.
suspect is kind of on his CV, kind of tech guy, But he's good
does
at
it well.
So
But yeah, and he like even nice in Game of Thrones actually recently, and he plays Locke. He's pretty good in that. But again, he was one of those ones where he just kind of maybe just filled a little void of the link between Rita and Cage. But he is the one, I guess, who gets them to their goal. Essentially, he is filling us in on how to kill this Omega. He just knows from his previous experience with Rita, I guess.
his invention, which
that was it, wasn't
is
it?
explained in the briefest possible circumstances. It's a thing you stab in your leg
Yeah.
that makes you see where the Omega is.
It did smack of shit. Where do we go now? And then he stabbed it into his leg and everything, and then he can see into the mind of the other. Oh God, this is going down a path. And there was a lot of it. I say a lot of it as if it's full of it. But there was a few little instances where it was just like, again, tighter scripting, tighter writing, and if it just had a couple more passes over the script or even over the story alone. I mean, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know what's taken straight from the manga and what's so that's my fault.
I think it might be the other way around, Rich. That there was too much playing of the script kind of.
I think that was.
So
I heard that was one of the problems. There was too
just
many
filling
scriptwriters
gaps.
bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, because what is that thing? He stabs in his leg, and then is it just like LSD in it or something like that? He's just like tripping out. I said, we need to go to the Louvre. Sure we do, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, no more drugs for that man.
I'm going to
You're
stare at the
dribbling and
Mona
you're
Lisa
naked.
for like 3 hours.
Giggling.
What I would say about that sequence, though, the actual chase sequence, they go to Whitehall in London to kind of the military base, and they sneak in, and then they escape in a Jag, and that kind of sequence is really good. So, despite the fact that the contrivance is a bit iffy, it's well presented, if that makes sense.
And it turns out Risha is like Michael Schumacher in that car as well. She's just tearing it around the place.
I also love the bit, it's in the trailer where one of the guards in the suit just kind of smashes into the front of the Jag.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
just goes up in the air. That was really awesome and really cool to see kind of practical effects rather than a lot of CGI.
Yes, there was and the previous car chase before that as well. When he goes, you have to choose between the van and the truck, and he's like, remove the caravan, and she's like, but that's a really decent one as well. When he pops out, it's from the trailer as well. When he comes out and he's got the mech suit and he's turned around,
Blows the
giving
caravan
it-
up.
Yeah, it's like Top Gear would be proud.
A lot of it was done, and I don't know why I get a big kick out of this, but a lot of it was done in daytime as well. So there was like the end attack on the Louvre was done at night.
Yeah.
But that was like the darkest scene you've seen. Everything was done in daylight. Now I always attribute that to kind of like being a right old ball ache to kind of do effect shots and stuff like that, because like the lightness of the backgrounds will show up any joins and so on and so on and so on. So I just get a big kick out of stuff being done in the daytime. It's weird. It's a weird personal thing for myself.
Not really
Like,
forced about that.
The whole beach scene is like a massive set as well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there is a lot of CGI going on, but when you compare, especially to something like Godzilla, which has excellent CGI, it felt a lot more grounded and like all the suits, the mech suits, which we're going to talk about in a bit, they're all pretty much real. I mean, there was some trivia that when Emily Blunt first put the suit on, she just like cried.
She, like,
because
cried,
it was,
didn't she?
It's
It's a
like
lot too heavy.
£90, something like
Yeah.
that. But it gave a real kind of.
But I think her and Tom Cruise definitely, and this is like a thing that he does in most of his films, did most of his stunts in that film. Like that's why I dig the guy, because like you look at any of the Mission Impossible films, that's him
Just
jumping
him
out
up
windows
the
and stuff
buildings.
like
Yeah, it's good.
He's not a young man anymore.
that. No, what was it? We had this conversation as we were leaving. Like kind of.
Well, how old is he now?
He's 55.
No, I think he might be slightly.
He's 50, early 50s.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say 51.
51. We'll find out later.
We'll find out.
find out.
Answers on a postcard to the smoking gun.
Wales.
Wales, UK.
But you're right, Rich, and this is again like I was actually just doing some research for this, going back to his older movies, and he pretty much kind of has one out every single year. So it's Oblivion, but even like going back to like The Last Samurai, stuff like that. And all the Mission Impossibles in between and stuff like that. I mean, he's I guess he's something for our generation. Like we were all kind of brought up with him on. 51. Producer Ben says 51. So I was
Oh,
right.
cheers, Ben.
Oh right.
Oh, that's
I was
what-
looking
5-1.
at
I get
the
it now.
clock going. No, it's 52. Mate.
I thought Ben was telling us we had 5 + 1 minutes left.
5
Six-
plus 1.
There's only 5 plus.
That's podcast language.
Cheers, Ben. Cheers, Al.
Nice one, Ben.
But yeah, I mean, and that's what surprised me about the kind of takings. I guess is Cruise losing his powers?
He's very much of a generation, and it's. I can't work out whether it's an old man. 55 isn't, or 51 isn't an old age anyway. But in acting years, that's kind of, it's like he hasn't had a renaissance kind of thing. So Matthew McConaughey.
a reconnaissance.
A reconnaissance.
Yeah.
He's having a bit of a renaissance. He's going to be into Interstellar and stuff like that. So he's stepped away from any film with Kate Hudson in
Yeah.
to now do this. Whereas because Tom Cruise is like constantly, he's got a film out every year, then he hasn't had time to kind of like step away from it and then come back with like, he needs to like. he needs a Robert Downey Jr. moment.
Ooh, nice.
Or even I go or Mickey Rourke kind of thing where it's just like something terrible happens to him, like not
Less the surgery.
Definitely less the surgery of that man, and then comes back and kind of like so people kind of have a break from him. And it's weird, it's because basically you're saying to be a better actor, Tom, in my book anyway, to be a better actor in my book, Tom, because we're on first name terms, you need to piss off for a couple of years and then come back.
We need to miss him for a bit.
Absolutely.
Well, I know what you mean.
He has got Mission Impossible 5 slated already.
When is that due out?
I think that's going to be. It hasn't started. I don't think it's even in pre-production yet, so it's going to be a little while. But I don't think we're going to not see him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, I'm not expecting him to listen to this and go, Jesus, maybe those four guys are right. Calling his agent, I need to piss off for a bit. And that's a quote. It's a direct quote. I need to piss off for a bit. But also, like, I think he needs to. We know he doesn't take himself seriously because like things like him in Tropic Thunder and stuff like that. Like, that's a badass role, like, you know, and that's so fucking funny. Like the guy puts on a fat suit for fuck's sake, like, you know, and it's just like he clearly doesn't take himself too seriously not to do those roles.
He doesn't take himself seriously, but he clearly takes the work very seriously.
Yeah,
like he's got kind of a reputation for really kind of pushing people. Like I said, I heard this interview with Doug Liman, and he said that. The scene with Trafalgar Square where they land in a helicopter, that's never happened before. No one's ever landed a helicopter in Trafalgar Square, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And Doug Liman was like, well, obviously we can't do that. And Tom Cruise was like, yeah, we can. Yeah, let's do it. He was like, no, I don't think they'll let you do that, Tom. And he was like, yeah, they will. But
what did he just
sort
talk about?
I'm pretty sure he probably picked up a phone and went, I'll be there at 10, so, you know.
Well, you know, with his inner circle of... No, I won't touch.
Here we go.
No. So no picking apart time travel movies, and definitely none of the S word.
I disagree. We will be talking about time travel movies.
So we mentioned other time travel movies. One of the best time travel movies of all time, Terminator, and now this leads us on to the king, the man himself, Bill Paxton.
Nice.
Bill Paxton, of course, the one of only two people to be killed by an alien, a predator, and a Terminator. The other one, Lance Henriksen, ladies and gentlemen, or just gentlemen.
Some great trivia there.
Look how
Very
chuffed
good.
you are.
Look at that.
I've been dying for someone to mention Bill
silent-
Paxton.
I was going to
Followed
say,
up, like-
I think we should give you the floor for Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I mean,
He was good. And
as soon as he came in with his kind of southern drawl, and he just played it so well. I genuinely love Bill Paxton in most things. He's James Cameron's good luck charm in most things. But
For me, I keep interrupting you. I do.
you can know I'd love if you interrupted me.
For me, in everything except Predator 2, where he's hateful.
I kind of
I
like
didn't
him in
even-
Predator.
Oh, Matt, like, so hateful.
Yeah,
Motherfucker
really
throws
bad.
a fucking
Golf ball.
a golf ball at the Predator. That hateful.
That's awesome.
That
I
takes
don't
balls.
You don't like him in it?
No.
You don't like him in it.
Give me True Lies, Paxton.
True Lies.
Nice.
I love him in True Lies.
Nice.
Smarmy.
What was the vampire film he was in?
Vampire.
It's him, Lance Henriksen, and we're going to get it from our beautiful producers any minute now.
Anyone check?
We're all
Look
looking.
at IMDb.
No, they're watching something porn probably. Dirty sods.
I didn't think there was enough of him in the film, to be honest. I wish there was more Bill
Yeah.
in Edge of Tomorrow. Because he was awesome. He was good fun, wasn't he?
He had that drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, absolutely down to a T.
going on.
And you only saw him in one of the jackets, the mech suit, once, and he gets exploded.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, Bill, no.
Because
Yes,
Thank
Near
you.
Dark. Near
was the name
Dark.
of
Thanks again, Ben.
but I thought he was just perfect for that role, and he plays it really well. Is actually when the more Cruise goes on and he's telling you, I'm going to tell you this and I'm going to tell you that. He just doesn't break at all. Like he's like. What was it? War is the great redeemer and all this, and he's got all
It's
these
an amazing
lines.
speech. It was so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. He does it really well.
He goes in, he catches the guys playing cards, and he makes them eat them. And
Yeah,
it's
that is awesome.
brilliant.
He's clearly having a lot of fun in it. I think it's clear just by looking at him, and it's good to see. Like, I can't really remember the last time I've seen him in a big film.
He
was in Two Guns, I think.
he was in
Summer
Two
ago.
Guns,
and he's
yeah.
actually really good in that. And it's not a bad film, Two Guns.
I haven't seen that.
It's all
Is that
right.
Denzel?
he was in
Denzel and Mark Wahlberg.
Marky
he's in
Mark.
Haywire as well with Gina Carano of
That's a very
MMA
good film. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's
But
a
yeah.
few good people.
That is a
in
very good film.
Fassbender's in that, yeah. As well.
Fellow
Michael
countryman
Douglas.
of yours.
Yes, and slash German. Love a bit of Fassbender.
She one of yours.
He is. He's ours. We're taking
Oh,
him.
right, okay. So what? Is it
We don't
like-
have much. We basically have him and Gabriel Byrne. And that's about it.
And the TV show Father Ted.
Speaking of Gabriel Byrne, of
How are we going to link this in?
Speaking of a man that's not in the film we're reviewing, yes.
but wait for it.
Oh, Christ.
Gabriel Byrne, Usual Suspects, written by Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote this movie. Not wrote it. No, he did. Co-wrote it. Yeah. So I love actually Christopher McQuarrie's in the trailers. His like little production or writing company is just the lineup from Usual
Yeah.
Suspects, like a silhouette of it. It's really cool. But McQuarrie actually directed Tom Cruise in Jack Reacher, which was probably the most forgotten about Tom Cruise movie
Which
in a
is
while.
a terrible, terrible movie. Actually, no. So there's terrible films which just don't make sense. We all went to see Sabotage, and that is a terrible movie. It's just a mess of a movie. Jack Reacher is a film where nothing fucking happens.
It's very long.
Oh,
I remember
God.
watching that in the cinema.
Like it's and oddly enough, again, Tom Cruise is completely undersold in that film in Jack Reacher because he's an absolute badass, and he's so good at being a badass, a cocky badass. He's really good at.
I think that Jack Reacher character as well was meant to be like, you know, when they like did a bio on him, he's like 6'4", built of concrete and, you know, tree trunks for arms, and they got, you know, 5'6" Tom Cruise to play him or whatever. But I watched a little video of someone was doing a Top Gun. How the trailer really should have been, and about how, if you actually go back and watch Top Gun, how many shots there are of when Cruise is stood up, people are like leaning so they're not taller than him, and like Goose, Mark Green from ER fame. Every time you see him, he's at the bar and he's like leaning in, or when he's with the blonde lead leaning in as well. And I think I was actually trying to think back at scenes with Emily Blunt, because she's quite a tall lass as well. But there's just actually lots of scenes when she's like leaning in on a table with Noah Taylor and stuff like that. So
Maybe they just put like Cuban heels on his mech suit as well.
yeah, Cuban heels.
Nicely. No.
I was
Yeah,
going to say
nice.
good segue to talk about Emily Blunt.
Oh no! I was
We haven't really
we haven't
discussed that
we
that
haven't
much.
really spoken to it. No,
No,
apparently she was in
sure,
this
but-
film at some point.
I thought she was great. Like, she played that badass really well. Again, when I was actually going back through a lot of Emily Blunt's movies, I guess it was The Devil Wears Prada where she was kind of, that's where she got her thing, like, and we all found her. But she did a lot of like period dramas and stuff like that. But I thought she played really well. She played that kind of hard Ripley type character pretty well.
I think she probably would have relished the opportunity to play against type. There's quite a good sort of 13-14 minute feature on iTunes trailers website, which shows like behind the scenes of the action scenes, and she did a lot of her own stunts as well. There's loads of ones. There's the particular stunt where she kind of dives through the air, does like a corkscrew with a sword and like stabs one of the mimics, and she did all that herself. And she says, you know, it's nice to not play the kind of doe-eyed kind of love interest for once, which
Yeah, it
is
looked like she really enjoyed this film, and it would be great to see her hold a film like this on her own. If she was the star of one of these action films, I would love to see that, like
Yeah.
sort of a Ripley character, because I think she can pull it off.
Because she's pretty badass in Looper as well. Like,
Yeah, she is.
I really like her character. It smacked of like, I don't know, and again I don't know, but like I think she brought a lot from her character in Looper, or at least the mindset from Looper.
Tough mom.
Yeah, absolutely. like kind of just fed up of this shit kind of thing.
That sword didn't get explained enough. It was essentially something from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
It was an enormous sword.
But again, going back to ripping it apart a little bit, it's just like if there was a little bit of backstory. I don't know how it would never have been able to fit in, but again, that sword obviously came from when she had the powers of being able to reset the day, where she was just like, "Fuck it, I'm not going to have a gun. I'm going to just beat." She would use it because like she was annoyed or something like that, and it was just like her way of just being a bit more feral with it. And I think like it would have been good to kind of take a little bit from the manga where they both have the powers at the same time kind of thing, where it's just like they're kind of picking up where they last left off, like so like so she knows that she can use the sword because it doesn't matter if something gets through because she can always just end it and then start again kind of thing.
But they're saying, if you like, she bled out and that's how she didn't get it, so you need to make sure you're dead. So like there's things where like Cruz like shoots himself in the head. She would have had to decapitate herself with a sword in order to reset time. You get about halfway through, oh no
oh god,
Hang on, surely you could just stab yourself in the heart.
you see the size of that thing.
But to decapitate yourself, and that's mad.
Hey, have you seen that on screen before? No.
Oh,
gold.
There we go. Again. So, for a solid gold smoking gun film, get some, and then
decapitate yourself with a sword.
Yourself on screen. So cool.
Like I guess a claymore would be nice, or a samurai blade. Either.
I'm a little bit scared of you now.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm on this side of the table. You absolute nutcase.
Going back to Emily Blunt, I know we kind of all had problems with the ending to a certain extent, but I really loved the very last shot where he walks in to see her ostensibly for the first time because he's reset time, and she goes to the she's just like, what have I got something on my face? I really love that, and it just ending on him kind of slowly smiling.
That Tom Cruise classic trademark laugh.
Really nice ending, and again, it didn't say setting up a sequel or a franchise. It just went.
Excellent. So, the suits, the second or third or fourth star of the film, the I think they were called the jackets. Yeah. What do we kind of make of those? Those were pretty cool.
Very, very cool. I think lots of things about them. The sound design was really good. It sounds a really odd thing to say, but the kind of noise the guns made was very satisfying.
Brought out the 8-year-old boy in all of us.
Yeah, well, I hate to do it again, but it reminded me a lot of
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, exactly. The guns in that are really cool. They're called something really strange, but they're kind of like shotgun, gigantic machine guns that kind of do everything. And something about the tech in it, it felt kind of almost potentially real. Or not far off being real, and yeah, they just look badass. Like they all seem to have different attachments with like rockets on their shoulders and kind of all sorts of crazy shit. And it was, I really enjoyed that. However, as far as I can tell, absolutely no tactical kind of advantage to having them. They kind of slow you down. They don't have armor in the right places. They run out of battery within about 6 hours. It's really hard to reload.
Like every best Christmas toy you've ever had.
And you can switch them into Japanese by accident really easily, which was quite a nice nod. But when you kind of forget about all that stuff and you don't apply too much logic to it, I thought they were really, really cool.
Yeah, there is that bit towards the start when he's trying to get the safety off, and it is kind of good how he progresses through it, learning the suit more and more. Yeah, you're right there. Like I said, when I saw it in the trailer, it's mech suit's done. It's got the machine gun on the side then it's got the over the shoulder kind of almost Predator cannon things going on. But you are right there. I don't know if we'll see them on the battlefield anytime soon. You just get stuck in mud.
Yeah. So wait, you're telling me I'm in a massive suit with 2 massive machine guns, but my entire front is exposed. My front. My warm, soft, fleshy front.
I suppose the kind of reasoning for them was they kind of allowed people to like maybe run faster or jump higher and that sort of thing, and like they could kind of fall out of an aeroplane without dying when they hit the ground. So they kind of tried to explain them away to a certain extent, but yeah, like you said, we probably won't be seeing them deployed in Afghanistan or anything.
No. I like the fact they were in camera. I know we touched upon it earlier on.
Yeah.
There were actually tangible, real suits that they're wearing, and Emily Blunt crying away when she first put one on. It's good to see that. You don't see that much anymore, and it's just harking back to films like Alien and such like, just to see real, actual, tangible suits being put on. I like that.
It was nice not to see a film that solely relied on green screen.
Yeah.
And just like, there was a really nice shot where they've gotten off the beach and they're trying to figure out what to do next, and it was just like a 3 or 4 minute scene where they're looking over this kind of caravan park, which is like looked really weird, but you kind of think, no, that would be right by a beach. There's a caravan park right by the beach, and they're trying to figure out a way, and he's telling her kind of, no, if you go that way this happens, if you go this way this happens. So it was that there was a lot of nice little kind of touches where it showed that he's been there before, but you're seeing it for the first time. There was an awesome scene where I think we're all going to kind of get to it in a second, where they're in so they get past the kind of caravan park and they're going to get to this kind of farmhouse, and he's there trying to like looking after her, and you kind of see how he knows a lot more about her than she's letting on, and she suddenly twigs, and I thought that scene was absolutely fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Whereas, sorry.
No, I spoke to you about that when we came out of the cinema. That was the first point where we didn't know what was happening. We were seeing it from Emily Blunt's characters, but Tom Cruise had gone through this how many ever amount of times. It's with there's just randomly a helicopter in someone's backyard.
Yeah,
every farmhouse in
every
France.
farmhouse, yeah. That was there was so much of all. For every good bit, there was an equally bad bit. They kind of went with it, and it sounds like people probably listening to this podcast are going to go, well, can they please fucking make their mind up whether or not they like this film or not?
We seem to go full circle. Like at the end of it, go, actually, it was crap.
Don't see this film. For the love of God, save your money. Go and see this World Cup everyone's talking about. It'll be in cinemas soon. Apparently there's a sequel in 4 years. Nice, see?
That's pretty good for somebody who doesn't really appreciate football.
Yeah,
but there was a lot of...
number of years, right?
there was a lot of... this bit's excellent, and then it'll just snap to something that kind of completely takes it away. It's just, I don't know, I might have been really pushy, but that helicopter was one of them, and it's just like the Louvre, where it's just like, oh, now you're going to do it this way. And so on.
What was nice for me was that it wasn't set in New York or something like that. The European kind of setting I found so much better. Again, I mentioned right at the start, it kind of had that D-Day landings feel when they were kind of dropping off. You're on the beaches, Saving Private Ryan-esque, and he's chomping at the bit to get in.
I was just going to say, this was released in the States on the anniversary of D-Day.
Oh, yes.
Which I'm not sure if I've made up my mind whether that is quite a cool idea or slightly disrespectful. I'm not really sure, but it's a nice tie-in nonetheless.
Yeah, but like the locations and stuff like that, it just... I think it played it a lot better if that was, New York. It just would have been another kind of just trashy one.
It just wouldn't have looked. It wouldn't have had that nice feel to it.
Sorry, but would it have made more money? Would you?
Oh, there you go.
If it was set in a place, especially American audience would be used to.
Well, maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe that's. But we were kind of talking about like Cruise moving slightly away from typecast, and you mentioned as well about how Tom Cruise just doesn't die really and stuff. That is it. Is this the start of him moving away, doing something different, or will this be people watch it and he goes, "Oh, actually, maybe I'll just stick with the Mission Impossibles and stuff
Maybe,
like that. What
yeah.
people want to see.
He does play it safe a lot. As good as much as I like him in films, I mean, like in the late 80s, early 90s, where you were like everything from Top Gun, he always had the kind of like the rookie starting out era, like Top Gun and Days of
Cocktail.
Thunder.
Cocktail, Rookie Barman.
Yeah, Rookie Barman.
He's a rookie barman.
He is a rookie barman. All kind of are variations on things. I mean, you could argue that everything is a remix anyway.
There's the Tom Cruise thing. It's okay. So Top Gun. He's a fighter pilot, a pretty damn good fighter pilot. He has a crisis of confidence, gets the girl. Days of Thunder. He's a stock car driver, a pretty damn good stock car driver. There's a crisis of confidence, gets the girl. Top Gun. No, Cocktail. He's a barman.
He's a
A pretty damn good barman.
yeah,
it
pretty
just goes
much.
straight
It's
every time.
yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I can't work out whether that's because Tom Cruise has been. In no part was he any part of my upbringing, but he's been a big part of my kind of like childhood.
He fathered you.
Yeah.
You suckled on his teeth.
That's an image.
No, Jesus, that's gonna haunt me to the day I die. But it is like, you know, Top Gun was the film. I remember being in school when like kind of Cocktail was on. Was the TV movie of the week kind of thing. It was just like we were all talking about Cocktail and kind of stuff like that. And it's just like Tom Cruise is a fucking badass and stuff like that. Tom Cruise was like the all-American hero of my kind of like generation. I don't know, like, you know, but it's like, Andy kind of disagrees
But then-
entirely with that.
He did, but then like stuff like Interview with the Vampire, then in the middle of it, and Far and Away, which don't watch Far and Away. It's terrible.
All I was going to say is, isn't he a lawyer in A Few Good Men? Pretty damn good.
Yeah, he does have a good. But
Tom Cruise formula. We think we
oh
found
my
it.
god,
Yeah.
we found it. The wicked,
But
like.
realistically, though, what's unfortunate about the fact that I don't know if we could say this film's flopped, but it's not done enormously well. But it does mean that he won't be, go to films like this, or
That's the sad thing, isn't
more
it?
so that maybe Hollywood will look at these films and go, well, we won't take the risk. We'll make another Transformers
Yeah.
sequel or whatever, and it's a shame, really. So everyone who's listening, go out and see it.
Definitely.
Because
Yeah, definitely.
we don't want to just sit and watch the same
Or
old shit every
write to
day.
Tom Cruise and tell him to do independent films, like, you know, just like, you know, no, but I'd love to see him in something that
Yeah, it
has
would be
like,
nice to see him do an indie film.
yeah, just
Take a
something-
break from the big ones for a bit and
Or
a character-based sort of.
Yeah,
write
Maybe.
to us, and we
Yeah,
can
we'll-
talk
we'll
about
sort
it in the
something
next
out, yeah.
episode.
We'll set up a Kickstarter.
What's the Twitter again there, Andy?
And @_smoking gun. No, the smoking gun.
underscore the smoking gun.
Underscore. I like how there's an underscore at the start.
It makes it look cooler.
What I was
Yeah.
going to say as well is, obviously, we touched on the fact that this is set somewhere outside of the US, and it's really nice to see that. As far as we can tell, we seem to have a few international listeners.
Yes, we do.
So be interested to know if anyone has any suggestions for cinematic locations around the world where action or, sci-fi movies should be set.
Yeah.
Or how they felt about the film as well, like, because the problem with like doing a podcast is that it's just four guys around a mic, so it's going to be our point of view versus no one else's point of view. So yeah, by all means, get in touch. That'd be fine. We are open to any kind of suggestions and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. So we
haven't talked about Brendan Gleeson.
because he's barely in the fucking movie. That's why he sits behind a desk and goes, "No, you're going off to war." And
It's not his best work, is it? It kind of felt a little bit like he didn't have a lot of faith in it. Perhaps, I don't know, I'm reading a bit into it. He just looked quite bored, I thought. But then I suppose it wasn't very...
I wouldn't mind betting that
Challenging.
Alton's already mentioned that it got kind of like bounced around from
Yeah.
writer to writer
Yeah.
to writer. So I wouldn't mind betting that most of his stuff got either trimmed down or cut or something. Because he didn't. All he really kind of had. He was just there to kind of say, "You're a dickhead. You're going to war," and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I would have preferred him in David Strathairn's character in Godzilla, I think. Maybe if they swapped, would that work?
You know that's impossible to, unless you do some horrendous.
Unless we kill an
Unless, of
alpha.
course, you kill an alpha, and we then
A little
kill
blood.
you, and then you reset.
Well, let's hope that works.
all
But
that.
yeah, again, it's like I said, it's kind of like Cruise's movie. So Yeah, Brendan Gleeson, anyone kind of could have done that kind
Yeah.
of grumpy general
But
role.
you know, he's on quite a streak at the moment with like some really great films. In Bruges, The Guard, his new one, Calvary, is meant to be excellent.
I haven't seen it, but I really want
Yeah,
to.
and I guess this probably wasn't very taxing for him compared to some of the other roles. So
There's a just on that Martin McDonagh who did In Bruges.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to look at Six Shooter, it's a short that they did with Brendan Gleeson in it. Check it out; it's extremely good. That's all I have to say.
But we all know, like, Brendan Gleeson can do quite a lot. I mean, he's awesome in 28 Days Later and stuff like that. He's amazing in that. But yeah, I don't think he just gets. Yeah, it just smacked of like either kind of didn't want to be there and it showed, or there was a much bigger part to it and he got cut. A little bit like Matthew Fox from World War Z.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, who's a whoop, and there he is kind of thing. And that, yeah, you find out that like the most of his kind of stuff has been cut from the film. I don't know. Well, I don't think we'll ever find, unless Andy knows.
no, in terms of being cut, Jeremy Piven was in the film, but when they did some reshoots, so they made the film, went back to do some reshoots, tidy things up, and introduced Jeremy Piven as a character, and then cut him out entirely.
See, there you go. I like a bit of Jeremy Piven. I think he would have brought a little something to it.
What was it? Does
Yeah,
it
do
say
you know
what-
Doesn't
what
say,
character?
but I believe the reshoots were based around the bits with Brendan Gleeson. So, like in apparently, I heard in the interview I was mentioning earlier, the reverse shots of Tom Cruise when he's talking to Brendan Gleeson, that was all done on green screen. So Brendan Gleeson wasn't there. They just reworked his dialogue to make a bit more sense. And I guess Jeremy Piven would have been maybe like an officer or something, or in the offices with the general. I don't know where they would have added him in, but he can't have been a very
Hopefully
big
it's
role.
included in the extras on Blu-ray.
That's quite a big name to cut out.
Yeah. The director's cut, that won't happen.
I don't know. I wouldn't. You never know. I mean, Doug Liman's like, and he has done. I mean, you were saying after the film that he's got quite a odd kind of CV.
Yeah, he's like directed episodes of like The OC and the shortly lived Knight Rider TV series.
That was him.
That was him.
Then that's all we're going to talk about. Because that was fucking shocking. Kit is basically a transformer in the remade like Knight Rider. And it's the son of Michael Knight as well, which is just fucking ridiculous.
I haven't seen
Kit
an
is the son of
episode.
Michael Knight.
No, Kit,
Wow,
no,
I want
spoiler.
to see this reboot.
Some kind
Wow.
of weird autoerotic kind of thing. No. The main guy in Knight Rider, whatever, the new TV series, or the
Knight
real,
Junior,
yeah, was that?
Knight Junior, presumably.
No, I don't know.
Was it Knight Rider 2000, wasn't it?
Knight Rider 2000 was a TV movie
Right,
where
okay,
Kit got
okay.
put into just a normal car, and I was super pissed.
It's like Herbie Rides Again.
I thought you were going to say where Kit gets put into storage or something. It's just like,
Darkness, my old
He doesn't
friend.
pass the NCT. Right?
just declare him off the road.
He's just marked as Sawn. Like.
Yeah, but he has other kind of weird, bizarre, shortly lived American TV reboot stuff. He's, I spoke to you about this before. Christopher McQuarrie also did. The Way of the Gun.
Yes,
Remember you said
yeah,
that?
yeah. We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah,
Which is possibly one of the greatest opening sequences ever.
you're gonna have to say it now.
I'm not.
Oh, you
I-
can't say
I
that.
can't-
Actually,
can't
that's
say it.
too blue.
The C word is way
Yeah.
too blue for
Yeah.
that. I know.
Alarms going
yeah,
off.
the iTunes will just fall over.
Yeah.
So we mentioned at the start that, and I actually I'm laughing because I'm reading my own notes. I mentioned at the start we're not going to mention other time loop movies. However, my notes clearly say other time loop movies.
That's what I've done all my research.
Oh, your
on.
research. So other time loop movies. We are. And we're waving at people. We're
Bye,
just
Alfie.
Bye, Alfie.
Bye, Alfie.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're losing one of our
Bye.
producers. He's not dead, by the way. He's just leaving. So we weren't going to... I didn't want to really talk about other time loop movies, but I think we're going to have to now because I've said it. So, obviously, Groundhog Day.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And there we go.
obviously. Yeah.
Just obviously Groundhog Day. You've also got Source Code as well.
Yes.
12 Monkeys?
Yeah, and Le Jetty as well, the film it was based on, or remade from.
What
Shorts. So two students, I think it was two students, produced a film called Le Jetty. It was a 15-minute or so short film. Terry Gilliam saw that and fleshed that out to bring up 12 Monkeys.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. 12 Monkeys is an amazing film. I like it. I love it.
I've not
what else is there?
seen Source Code, actually. I hear not great things.
I thought the idea was so good, but it didn't work for me.
It's because that's it's the same guy who did Moon.
Duncan
isn't it? Yeah.
Jones.
Duncan Jones.
David Bowie's son.
Doug
Yeah.
Jones.
Currently
Duncan.
making
Duncan.
Warcraft.
Duncan.
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones is the guy who plays
Abe
the
Sapien.
Silvers.
Oh, in
Silver
Hellboy,
Surfer
yeah.
and stuff like that.
No.
yeah.
Duncan Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
Or Duncan Stardust or something.
Duncan Stardust.
Zowie Bowie was his
Zowie
name.
Bowie was
Zowie
it?
Bowie.
That was it.
Yeah. He dialed that fucking down a lot.
Wait,
Duncan Jones.
Zowie up here, then
Yeah.
Duncan.
Did I say
Dan-
Stardust?
You said Stardust, as if thinking Stardust was a real person.
Oh, no. I was thinking of... Is that Alvin Stardust? Is
Yes,
Alvin
there is
Stardust,
Alvin
yes,
Stardust,
there is.
I got
which has
my-
got nothing to do with David Bowie.
There's a
I
movie
think
Stardust.
there's probably a lot.
Oh, you tenuous bastards!
There's probably a lot we can cut there. I think.
Well, this is solid gold.
This is solid gold. This is actually quite tight. Yeah, it is.
How do you class a time loop movie?
And this is now. So I'd say Source Code and Groundhog Day are definite time loop movies. Then you've got other time travel movies.
Yeah.
So has anyone seen Time Crimes?
I've heard it's very good.
Spanish
Crimes.
movie. Like I watched it. It was on Netflix. Other streaming media things are available. And I kind of put it on thinking, yeah, let's see what the crack is. And I thought, fuck me, this is an amazing film. So dark as tits, like, you know.
What did you say it was
Dark
called?
and tits.
Time Crimes.
I've seen Time Cop. I don't
Time
know
Cop,
what-
yeah. And now, is Time Cop a time loop movie?
No, I think we're mixing maybe the distinction between time cop and time travel. Right?
Yeah, that's the
Because
thing, I
time
just wanted to-
travel.
No, you just said you mixed the distinction between Time Cop and time travel.
Sorry, let me
No, he
start that again.
definitely tried.
Time
mixing
looping
the-
and time travel.
I think we're mixing the
difference.
distinction between time looping and time travel. So, time looping, you go back and everything resets, whereas time travel affects the future, and then when you go back, whatever you've done will.
Beautifully depicted in Back to the Future 2 with the diagram.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Those are-
that is two different
sorry.
things.
There was a Christmas movie I saw ages ago on Channel 5 or ITV2 or whatever.
Oh my god, I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Christmas
And
Do-Over, I think
yeah,
it was called.
like,
And
for some reason I
this
was
guy of the
watching.
family, head of the family, would have to relive the Christmas day with his family over and over. And obviously he would learn lessons throughout that to speak to his daughter and all that.
It was like some
Yeah.
straight to TV thing.
Yeah, it was terrible, but I liked the idea. I kept watching because I wanted to know how it was pan out as you do on those late night crappy movies.
Suits?
No mech suits, no jackets.
Well, what about
Not interested.
what about Looper for a time loop?
Looper, yeah.
There's they
well,
go
it's-
back in time, but no, they don't loop. They just go back in time and kill people.
Yes,
Yes, they go
that
back.
is
Them.
time travel because it affects.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
There was a TV show called 7 Days, where this guy goes back to avert a crisis, and he goes, you can only go back 7 days in advance.
There's a TV show called Quantum Leap as well. That was really good.
But now
Yeah.
is that time loop? Or?
He goes into no, because he affects stuff as
He
well.
affects stuff,
He
yeah,
goes
all
into
the time.
different people's bodies,
Mm.
right?
I love how they always would show you the next week's episode, and he'd be like, dressed up as a woman. Or something. Oh, Scott,
Oh, Bob.
Scott
Bakula.
Fatuka or
There
something.
we-
You ever
Yeah.
seen the Quantum Leap episode where he meets Stephen King?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's badass. That is.
There's also Sliders. I don't know why we've just gone into
TV
TV
shows.
We're just naming TV
No, we're
shows.
just naming TV shows there. That's fine.
NYPD Blue.
Yeah, when
that time loop?
Sipowicz goes back into time. I
With
remember
his
that.
mech suit on and his coffee.
Oh, but
gotta
he
go to
gets,
the future.
he gets results.
It's about your kids.
I don't think there's been many time leap
There
movies
isn't.
so
Well,
far,
I guess
really. though?
really,
Or maybe we've not
because
seen them.
the benchmark, right, is Groundhog Day, and
That's
you
going to be
don't-
tough to beat, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you
Such a...
I mean, this film, Edge of Tomorrow, has been described everywhere as
I know what
Independence
you're gonna
Day, Independence Day by way of Groundhog Day, which is quite nice.
I thought he was going to say Groundhog Day meeting Starship Troopers. I
That,
thought.
that as well. I wanted to avoid that.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
And like, it's really, I mean, it's a brilliant film. Like, how do you compete with that? You don't really want to touch that subject because it's done so well in Groundhog Day. It's funny and it's sad and
It works.
It's probably Bill Murray's one of his best.
Yeah, it's
his
got,
best.
It's got
It's up
Billy
there.
fucking Murray in it. Billy Ghostbuster
not
Murray.
Billy Murray, the Cockney actor
He was in,
from The Bill.
I was quoting the RZA from Coffee and Cigarettes, but never mind. Thank you for ruining that.
You're
moment.
surprised that I don't recognise any RZA quotes.
From the mean streets that you've been brought up on, I thought, yeah.
Mean Streets. No, there's a movie.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, has anyone got like kind of anything else they want to bring up on this movie?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. So, someone mentioned to me the other day, why are they called mimics?
We haven't spoken really about them, so yeah, that's
Yeah, actually,
let's
yeah,
talk
good
about
shout.
that. Like, yeah. Alton, you were going to say
I'm going
something.
to guess that they were called mimics because they wanted to learn as much as they can about humans and how they work as a team. So they would. I don't know what I'm saying here.
It's
They will.
no, go on.
No, I'm stuck.
It's-
I'm stuck.
They're learning.
They're learning. Yes.
Every time they lose a fight and they restart, they have that information in connection. So they're like,
Surely you call them learners, not mimics.
Yeah,
'cause
so
they're not
learners
copying
doesn't
anything.
roll off the tongue.
So they're learning our intelligence, hopefully, to beat us.
Okay.
So they're mimicking what we would do.
No,
That's what it-
that makes sense. That makes sense.
That's
It was,
my idea.
unfortunately for you all, it was a rhetorical question because I have the answer here.
Ah.
And you're all wrong.
Oh, wait, okay.
You absolute twat.
So first of all, if you think about it, actually, why would we call them mimics? Because as humans, we don't know that they have this power, right? Because
Right.
Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt talk about how, like, if they mentioned it to anyone, they'd be locked up in
that's
psychiatric
true.
care. So we don't know that they have this ability. But actually, it's comes from the book. So someone from IMDb has written in the trivia page. I don't know who you are. If you are listening, I do apologise. They're mimicking the planet where they come from. They're trying to replicate the conditions needed to get habitable for the people. That's how they're called, and that's why they're called it in the book.
Right.
So basically, they're not actually aliens. They're supposed to be like elaborate construction equipment that kind of,
Terraformed.
terraforms the entire world, and they mimic their own
Oh,
home
okay.
planet in
Right,
order to make
okay.
it habitable.
That makes a lot of sense. Like when you think about how like kind of the Omega was constructed, because it didn't look like a living, like it wasn't a monster kind of thing. It was more kind of like a building.
Like Sarlacc or something.
It did look like the Sarlacc. Excuse me.
It also says here they eat earth and poop green stuff.
Oh, like
I think-
actual
right.
children.
Yeah, yeah. I
Definitely
guess
eating Earth, unless you're a bad parent.
I thought they were pretty well done. I mean, I guess there wasn't too much. There probably was that explaining, but I just don't remember much of it. I kind of like the kind of squiddy kind of flying. You couldn't quite see them at the start, flying through, like burrowing through the sand.
They moved a little. Like, have you ever seen the horror movie Splinter?
Yes, actually.
You know, like where they kind of like snaps like people
Yeah.
and just kind of like weirdly kind of like almost stop motiony kind of movement, kind of like
Yeah.
really jittery. Like they moved a little bit like that, and I was just like, "Fuck, these are fucking terrifying."
the alphas as well were very cool. More kind of traditional monster. They had kind of eyes and mouths.
Yeah, quite
and,
sinister.
they it reminded me of the kind of effects they used on the Balrog in Lord of the Rings when it kind of roars. They had that kind of light and fire inside their throats as well, which was really cool. And
The bit where they're at the dam,
Yeah.
and like then the alpha figures out that they can't, don't kill him.
Yeah.
Like, don't kill Tom Cruise, but like, they're almost like testing the water kind of thing. That was a very Alien 3 moment where like, Ripley's kind of like got the alien next to it, and like they figure out like, it's almost as if it's sniffing, like kind of Sigourney Weaver kind of thing, and figures out that the Queen's inside it and stuff like that. Which, if you haven't seen any of the Alien films, sounds ridiculous and horrifying.
also, spoilers.
What? I said spoilers at the start.
At the start you did, yeah.
I say spoilers. If you've
So-
managed to go this far and kind of go, oh, mother,
No, so
spoilers.
hang on though. So for basically, when you say spoilers in this podcast, you mean for every film ever.
Every film we mention, we'll spoil it for you.
If I've
So
seen,
if you haven't seen every film ever,
We're
stop
just-
listening.
We're just
and come back to us.
presuming people have seen as many movies as we have.
Yeah.
So we'll be fine.
it's fine. If you haven't seen Alien 3, you're not going to be listening to this podcast.
Really?
I'd go that far.
It's not good,
If
though, is it?
I'll let people off on Alien and Aliens, that'll be fine.
Alien 3? No.
That's the cutoff.
That's the cut.
That's the cutoff for your casual movie.
All right, okay.
It's more dedication to watch that pile of poo.
That's for another day.
It's another podcast.
That's another podcast. Yeah, so like I mean, I think we all agreed we really dug it. Was there anything we wanted to see from the aliens at all? Like, or were they actually aliens? Oh no, because it said it started. Now going back, sorry, I'm cutting myself off here. It showed quite nice actual real life footage to kind of depict fictitious events. So I think they had the kind of the meteorite that hit Russia or something like that, as like kind of like the YouTube videos as them landing on Earth kind of thing. And I thought that was really cool. They used, I think there was a bit of the London riots as well.
Yes,
in
there
there
was,
as
yeah.
well. At the start to kind of show kind of like all shit breaking loose kind of thing.
All the I like that they used real sort of newsreaders and stuff as
Yeah.
well. I like it's a really obvious thing, but it adds a nice kind of realism to the film.
There was a bit where Tom Cruise looked like he was on fucking GMTV at one point. It was just like, holy shit! Like,
Philip Schofield.
yeah, housewife approved.
I think that's like record time.
That's
isn't it?
record.
So-
Like that was. I'd argue now, and again, I'm not going to cut this out. But I'd argue that we need to see a film that we didn't like again.
Yeah, because we talked a lot more about it.
Like, we need
plenty
to
more
see
to talk
films
about,
that we
isn't it?
don't like. This
Transformers 4.
That's coming.
Hey,
When's that out?
That's so Transformers. I'll tell you what. Let's talk. We got a bit of time. Let's talk about what's coming up next. So we got Transformers 4 is next, which is going to split the room. Which I reckon, fuck it, we go and see. What have you got after that? Have you got
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Then you have got
I'm
Guardians.
looking
of the
forward to that.
Galaxy.
I know nothing about the comic or anything. I'm looking forward to it. The trailers and bits I've seen looks.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it either, to be honest with you, and I'm really
It's
looking forward to it.
everyone's tipping. I say everyone. Like the people I've spoken to about it is tipping it as like the Star Wars for a different, like for the comic book generation kind of thing. It looks like it's going to be of that magnitude. And if the trailers are anything to go by, Jesus,
Man, Peter Serafinowicz is in it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
there.
Well, I think for a film that's a bit of a risk for Marvel, they're really pushing it. I think they've got a lot of confidence in it by the look of it. And it's directed by James Gunn, who makes some pretty offbeat stuff. Super, for example, is
Yeah.
really excellent. So it's a big risk, but they're pushing it hard.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what the diehard fans of the comic book make of it, because like a lot of people have said kind of like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy, who the fuck are they kind of thing. Or it's just like, before Robert Downey donned that Iron Man suit, nobody really gave a monkeys about Iron Man. He was just like, yes, he was one of the coolest Marvel characters, but outside of knowing the comics, like Iron Man isn't going to be a household name kind of thing. And like Robert Downey Jr. took Tony Stark. Everyone knows Tony Stark now. Everyone knows who Tony Stark is, and has taken like that. So it would be interesting to see what they kind of do with, or how Guardians of the Galaxy kind of like makes it into the mainstream. It's not going to be as dark and murky as like Watchmen or anything like that, because those guys aren't heroes kind of thing. But Guardians of the Galaxy, like, definitely, like, it looks like a proper popcorn movie.
It looks like it's going to have a lot more humor than like Tony Stark definitely brings a bit of kind of cheeky, like borderline alcoholic humor to it, and I guess to X-Men and so on, not so much, but it definitely looks like there'll be a bit more of a humor factor, which I think would be good. And it looks like a kind of all ages kind of one as well. I imagine
the
it's
family,
got a 12A kind of job.
Yeah.
I imagine that, which is just the norm for everything.
Yeah,
now.
it'd be interesting to see what they actually get away, like what they actually try and cram into a 12A, like whether or not they kind of like make it as kind of as gritty, not as gritty as in kind of like, it's going to be like a drama, but kind of gritty, like have a little bit more kind of like cussing or something, or throwaway kind of language, like the Edge of Tomorrow had like the Robin Hood guy bollocks all the time, and it's just like
That was mainly to signify that he was British and working class.
Yes.
yeah.
Just in case no one got that.
But it'd be interesting to see what they kind of like muscle in. Like, I'm intrigued. But I think that's pretty much the biggest film that we're gonna.
I think if people want us to review that, they should get onto the
Contact
Facebook.
us, yeah.
And
If you want
yeah.
to put us through the pain, or rather, sorry, Mikael and Alton through the pain that is Transformers 4, let us know, and Rich will go anyway.
You know, I will go anyway.
I said veto it, but Mark Wahlberg, man. Yeah, go on.
We're two for. Oh,
Go on,
come
I
on.
changed my mind.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Happening?
I have.
That film is terrible.
I'll watch Mark Wahlberg and stuff.
Well, it's still 50-50 at the moment, which leaves us at a stalemate. So if me and Alton stay strong,
Just to go back to the Facebook page and the Twitter, we do need to come to a consensus for our 80s movie as well. That could be some kind of in-betweener we do between now and the next one,
definitely.
or something like that.
And also kind of like tell us what you want us to do with it as well. So we can do a straight up review. Like, you've heard 2 now. You've heard what we're like with films that we actually like. You've heard what we're like.
It was
with,
good, actually. Yeah, Godzilla one end of the scale. and this the
Yeah,
other.
that's it. And you've heard us what we're like with films that we didn't like, or at least kind of like kind of had enough to kind of chew on.
I'd like to add one to the 90s one.
I haven't pitched the 90s one on the Facebook page
It's
yet.
Beetlejuice for Mr. Andy Swittenbank.
Beetlejuice, is that 90s?
That's starring
Yes,
the
seen-
wonderful Michael Keaton.
Yeah, he hasn't seen Beetlejuice.
Is Beetlejuice in the 90s?
Is it a summer blockbuster?
Because I reckon Batman was 89 and
Does it squeeze in there? Producer Ben's on
Producer
it.
Ben's on it. 88.
Thank you,
Nice,
Ben.
Thank you, Ben. So we can't have Beetlejuice in the 90s.
I'll just make Andy watch it at some point.
Yeah. So for the 90s, can we? I need 3 summer blockbusters from the 90s without using the internet.
well,
Summer blockbusters.
Jurassic
in the
Park.
90s.
Yeah, we said that. Yeah,
Jurassic Park's
yeah.
on there, but I don't know whether to veto it because it's too easy.
You put Die Hard on the 80s.
Is
Jurassic
Die Hard
Park.
a summer blockbuster?
Yeah.
Die Hard's not.
Die Hard's a summer blockbuster.
Really?
Yeah. I googled 80s summer blockbuster.
That was released in the summer.
Yeah.
I spoke to you about this, and The Matrix is 99, but you came back to me and said that wasn't a summer. Or someone did.
The blockbuster. No, I didn't. Who said some? It wasn't. I said something wasn't a summer
Maybe
blockbuster.
maybe Ben could get a list of 90s.
Yeah.
Just
That's not
totally putting him on the spot. But
I don't know how he's going to communicate this through the art of mime, but
yeah, I mean, but if people want to pop in, like, it doesn't even have to be huge, but well, maybe it does to go with what we're going with. But
Yeah, I think
there can be
it's a
some
season.
slightly left field.
Yeah. I think like our aim is to make it a little bit seasonal. So as soon as it comes to Christmas time, we'll kind of review Christmas movies and so on. And so on.
I don't know why it came into my head, but
Just Die Hard again. So we're going to review Die Hard twice.
Titanic
movie I've
came
ever
into my
seen.
head.
Titanic. You can.
Titanic, yeah.
Fuck
I don't know
right
why.
off.
I don't know why it
You're
came into my
watching
head.
Titanic.
If I've got to watch Transformers 4, you're going to watch Titanic.
Oh, all right. No, I tell you
Alton,
what.
stay strong for God's sake.
If we cut this out of the podcast, no one will ever know I said
I'm leaving
Titanic.
it. I'm leaving it. I'm
We're
leaving
keeping
it
that bit in.
I'm leaving it in purely because I'm going to leave it up to our followers and so on and so on and so on. So
Hopefully they would have listened to this point.
Of course they will.
Oh,
Well-
hey, we wanted a test.
This will do it.
For anything we don't get in the next few minutes, we'll pop it up on the website.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Facebook.
We'll be on the Facebook page and the Twitter and all sorts.
And don't forget battleroyalewithcheese.com for all your film reviews, news, and all that sort of stuff as well.
Please go and check our Brothers in Arms out on that website because it is a beautiful website.
With probably the finest name of any film review website I can think of.
I'm blushing now.
I don't know. I quite like moviepoopshoot.com from the Kev Smith films. Doesn't have the same kind of snappy ring. Like. So, before we say our goodbyes, Ben, how are we doing with that list of... he's tapping away. This is a massive upgrade
Ben's
from
working hard.
our previous podcast. He's coming in.
Headphones
He's
on.
coming in.
Here we go.
I can't actually think of a way of miming, so I'm going to have to intrude. The list could be Mrs. Doubtfire, Twister,
Yes!
The Mummy,
Bill Paxton, Twister.
The Mummy, of
Yeah,
course.
Oh, the Mummy.
The Mummy, and the regrettable Phantom Menace. Because that is technically a 90s movie.
That is technically a 90s movie.
Yeah.
Maybe a Star Wars should be a separate thing altogether.
Oh, we've been talking about this, and we don't know. So, I think without the last kind of 10 minutes of the podcast just being us going, how about this and how about this, we'll leave it up to the good people of the internet to kind of get into touch.
This isn't rugby, Rich.
Yeah.
Sport.
Talking of sport, the biggest sporting event coming up pretty soon, so scheduling is going to be pretty interesting.
Well, there's a little thing
for
called
films.
VHS that you can record on, surely to God. So you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/The Smoking Gun Podcast. You can also find us at Twitter. Andy, what's our Twitter handle?
It is @_the smoking gun _.
Excellent stuff. You can also find us, we'll get posted on the Battle Royale with Cheese website, is that right? Correct?
Yeah,
Alan?
battleroyalewithcheese.com, and our Twitter is BRWC.
Excellent stuff. All worthy people to get hold of. Also, if you want to make it a little bit more personal, however, a touch more stalkery, you can also find us on Twitter. Kahal, what's your Twitter handle?
I don't. I've never tweeted. I just follow people, and it keeps me up to date with movie and sports news.
Wicked. So
I'm like a voyeur.
this is a challenge for all our listeners. You've got to find Kahal with no means of ever kind of finding it.
There is no way you will ever find it.
Oh, no.
That's a challenge.
There we go. There's a challenge. If you find
Sounds like a
Kahal,
challenge.
I tell you what, I will find a gift or a prize for someone if they find Kahal on Twitter and tweet him about the Smoking Gun
Yeah,
podcast.
we'll sort that out.
Okay.
We will sort out something. For
Maybe
that.
prize that.
A free Blu-ray or something.
Yeah, well, I'll find a Blu-ray from my stash we could give away.
We will raid CEX and maybe cash converters for the most rubbish
The
Blu-ray.
shittest film we can find.
Andy, what are you on Twitter, sir?
I'm @danger_Andy.
Myself, I am _Big Rich. And Alton, you are?
I am BRWC.
Excellent stuff. Well, that brings us to the end of the Smoking Gun Podcast, episode 2, Pod Harder. I don't want to give it away, but I think we all know where the third one's going to go.
Pod Hard with a Vengeance.
Absolutely.
It would have been better if you'd gone no.
No, it'll be
Fucking
episode,
idiot.
you fucking cleft. It's going to be The Quickening. So a massive thank you to Ben and Alfie, our producers, for this episode. I've been Big Rich, and I've been joined by
Cahill, who is recovering from sunburn. I found out that my pasty Irish skin is no match for the sun.
I'm Andy. I mowed my lawn yesterday, but there was not enough room in the bin for all the grass, so I had to leave a patch along. It's kind of like the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Okay. So Andy's gone mental. It's kind of
I
like
thought we were doing a thing. I thought we were telling an anecdote.
telling you an anecdote. Well, when I was a child.
And I'm Alton, and I'm recovered from my man flu. Thanks for asking, guys.
Excellent.
feeling a
well
lot better
done.
today.
Excellent
Good.
stuff.
They look great.
Excellent.
Thank you,
So-
Cahill. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Excellent. So, thank you very much for listening, and you've been beautiful. We've been The Smoking Gun. Good night.
The Smoking Gun. Only on Battle.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?